So coming from CNBC, this gives me a wee bit of a giggle. I fear the big technology companies may have been lulled into a sense of security and stability that maybe, perchance, is a wee bit unwise. Google limits Meta's use of its Gemini AI models. So I think this is an interesting story because I didn't actually realize how much of Google's AI models Meta was using. And apparently Meta is using a lot of Google Gemini and Google's models in order to do internal services and other things. And I kind of think that this is interesting. Basically, as the AI, frenemy party starts to break apart, I wonder how this is going to end. Probably horribly. Let me just put my $5 on the table. It's gonna be bad. So what I mean, why I'm talking about this is, I've done technology since 96. I've literally done technology for over 30 years, over 3 decades. Oh, I've been doing tech. And anywho, most of my time in the tech world, as I've said many times before, you're dealing with type A personalities who are just passive aggressive, complete and utter bastards, right? Basically, you have seen tech CEOs literally try to destroy other tech companies because they were bored. You sit there and you read like the after action reports, the debriefs. You're trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, oh, was this company, could this company have become a competitor in the future? And you realize, no, probably couldn't have been a competitor. Okay, could this company, have damaged something with this other? No. And then basically, what you come around to is that this big tech company destroyed this other tech company because it could, literally because it could. We talk about this back in the old days, like the 1990s, the whole idea of vaporware, where you would have enterprise customers, and enterprise customers would start to, or would decide to buy a product from a vendor other than Microsoft, right? Whatever the product was. The salesperson for Microsoft would come in, would hear that this enterprise was buying this particular product, and then that salesperson would be like, oh, well, we're already working on a product exactly like that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just in testing phase right now, processing phase. We should be shipping it within 6 months. So you already have a contract with us. You already have a relationship with us and licensing agreements and all that kind of stuff with us. Why? Why do you want to deal with the extra headache of dealing with another vendor when we're going to have the exact same product in 6 months anyway? Why don't you just wait for us to come out with a product and just use our product? Which, again, that might be a bastard move, but it is what it is. What made it chef's kiss was the fact that, yeah, Microsoft was not coming out with that product. Microsoft was not working on that product. Microsoft was not testing that product. That is what we call vaporware. Basically, the salesperson just decided to screw with the other vendor because they're a Microsoft salesperson. That's just how it works. And anyways, and that's one of the things that we've seen so many times in the technology world is just that the big tech companies go after each other just absolutely brutally. But one of the weird things with this whole AI revolution, right, is that the AI revolution is a fraud, right? It is a fraud on the face of it. It is a fraud where if you look at it for any amount of time, it's obvious that it doesn't make sense. So the problem that you run into is back when the companies were being real assholes to each other, right? Everybody understood the value of a web browser, right? You use a web browser and you get the point. So Netscape Navigator versus Chrome versus Opera versus Safari, right? You could have arguments there. And that's the thing. And Microsoft could come out and talk about Chrome being crap. And Chrome could come out and talk about Microsoft, Internet Explorer being crap. And they could throw down and they could throw metaphorical fisticuffs because the fundamental product was valuable and necessary for modern society. So they were being competitive, trying to steal each other's customers. There is no argument that Microsoft could make that would have half the world's population decide, I guess web browsers aren't for me." right? That wasn't going to happen. The interesting thing with artificial intelligence, though, is that the value proposition really has not been proven. And I've been talking about this a lot. The main article I've been bringing up a lot lately is Accenture. Accenture, global consulting company, been pushing their clients into artificial intelligence projects for the past couple of years. Literally, Accenture has come out and said the CEOs and executives of the corporations that they've pushed into artificial intelligence projects do not see a value coming back from AI. They see the cost. They see the cost. They don't actually see the value. And so one of the things is with the AI fraud for a few years now is that all of these big tech companies, frenemies have come together for this kumbaya moment where none of them disparage each other. And think about that, right? If you've been in tech for over 10 years, right? If it's less than 10 years, you may not remember this world. But if you've been in tech for over 10 years, can you imagine a point in time where no tech CEO was talking shit about the other tech CEO? Come on, now that was great, right? You're sitting there waiting for your server to reboot. You grab a bag of popcorn and you see what the CEOs are talking about with each other, the crap they're throwing. And what you'll notice in the AI fraud boom, we haven't seen that. And the reason is because if Sam Altman attacks Google's AI initiative too hard, he knows that if people agree with him, that they'll then start looking at OpenAI and saying, well, if this is a fundamental problem for Gemini, why isn't it a fundamental problem for OpenAI? Right? You can't go after Anthropic too hard because if it's a fundamental problem for Anthropic, then it's a fundamental problem for, one of the other models, things like that, right? It's interesting where you'll notice, like even when there is drama and that type of thing, like Dario versus Sam Altman, they always talk about Sam Altman. Sam Altman is a manipulator. Sam Altman is a liar. Sam Altman is being sued by his sister for things that you can Google search, right? But you'll notice, right? One of the interesting things with this particular time period is even when there is criticism, it is shockingly personal. Again, it's about Dario, it's about Sam Altman, it's about Nadal. It's not weirdly about the technology itself because they don't want to ding, right, the other technology. The thing is we are getting to the height of this particular fraud, and the issue is money is going to run out, and the knives the knives are going to come out at about that period of time, and people are going to start going after each other. And I think that's where we've started to see more and more attacks at the actual technology and at the companies themselves. And so what's interesting with this though is think about this is we have adults. Like one of the interesting things being almost 50 is you think about millennials, even me as a Gen Xer, when I think about millennials, I still think they're 17. Millennials will forever be 17, at least in my mind. But the reality is they're like 40 now. They're like 40 kids, houses, worrying about 401k plans. Even like Gen Z. I mean, Gen Z is now like 25 or going into 30s or whatever else. Like all of these folks are getting older. And so one of the things to think about is if you graduated college and let's say 22, let's say you got into the tech world back in, let's say, 2016. That means at this point in time, you're 32 years old, right? Your entire professional career, and you're an adult now. You have a decade of experience. You have a decade of experience. You're an adult, the whole nine yards. Your entire professional career was in an environment with 1% interest rates, where many of the big technology companies were in this kumbaya moment because again they a tsunami can sink all ships, right? And so what's going to be interesting here is what happens when the technology industry reverts to mean, right? What happens when the technology industry goes back to being a whole bunch of pissed off, aspy kitty cats who really want to claw shit badly, right? And I think that's going to be interesting with all of these weird, relationships and contracts and all that between all of these different companies to see where that comes out. Because I mean, like, really think about this for a second. So Meta, I mean, I don't know why. I have questions. Meta wants to be a premier AI company. But the company that wants to be a premier AI company is using Google's AI to provide a lot of their services. So think about this for a second. So if Google wants to kneecap Meta, all they have to do is start yanking service. They don't even have to yank services per se. Quality of service can decrease by a bit. Latency can increase by a bit. Whatever the SOP, or not the SOP, the SLA, the service level agreement. Like as long as the numbers in the service level agreement are higher than what the agreement is, right? Then that's legally okay. Now, if it's literally right exactly at the agreement line, I'm interested to see how bad this is gonna get. And I put my $5 on the table. This is going to get bad. Google has put limits on Meta's use of its Gemini AI models after the social media company sought more computing capacity than the rival tech group could provide. Google, owned by Alphabet, told Meta around March it could not meet the full Gemini capacity the company had sought to purchase, adding that the shortfall disrupted and delayed some of Meta's internal AI projects. And this is one of the very interesting things, too. Again, with Meta, so this, not being able to use Gemini, affected Meta's internal AI projects. Which, again, to be clear, whenever Meta comes up, hey, yeah, Aspie in the back. Yeah, I've got a question as the Aspie in the room. Isn't Meta supposed to be trying to become the premier AI company? Just asking this. Aren't they trying to build humanoid robots? Didn't they try to buy Manu? Didn't they spend, what, $20 billion or whatever on Scale AI, whatever the fuck that was? I want you to think about this. When I sit here and I laugh about Meta, I know a lot of people think I'm just being mean about Mark Zuckerberg. I know, to be clear, I am being mean about Mark Zuckerberg, but it is not just. It is how funny this is. They have been dumping tens of billions of dollars into their AI initiative. They're still using Gemini for internal projects. They're still using Gemini to such a degree for internal projects that if Google does not upgrade their capacity, it actually limits what they're able to do internally. I have some questions about what Meta is doing with artificial intelligence, I've got to say. Anyways, several other Google clients have also been affected, though to a lesser extent. According to the report, Meta has been particularly impacted due to its exceptionally high demand for Google's models. And this is so bizarre. So Meta has an exceptionally high demand for Google's models. Due to the restrictions, Meta has encouraged staff to be more efficient with AI tokens, the units that measure AI usage. And so this is basically, what's going on with Meta and Google right now. So I guess with Meta, if you can't build it, I guess you just got to buy somebody else's, which is kind of funny. This is all funny on so many levels. Think about how much money Meta has dumped into AI. Think about how much focus Meta has put on artificial intelligence, and yet they are still, need to use Google's Gemini to such a massive degree that it actually degrades the amount of work that they're able to accomplish if they're not able to access that much of Gemini services. Think about what a position that puts Google in. And then think about what this is going to mean for the future. What happens when Google needs to prove that they're the AI leader? Remember, we talk about this, like in the United States, there's always this idea of outrunning the lions, right? There's this concept, right? Survival of the fittest. You have to outrun the lions, right? Well, when you think about that, you think about Usain Bolt, right? Okay, that's going to give you a society of Usain Bolt. Every time there's a lion, everybody's going to run away from the lion. Only the fastest are going to be part of that society anymore. Literally, the slowest are going to be continuously culled. And at the end, you will only have the superior people. But here's the issue. That's not really how humanity works, right? That's not how it works. It's survival of the fittest. Here's the deal. I could actually be pretty slow. Like look at me, right? I am a slow runner. So I go run. Right now I am training for a marathon. I'm training for a marathon. I do races. I quote unquote do races. I am so middling. I am the most middling of middling. I come in the middle of the race. I'm like, if there's 150 people, I'm like number 75 in that race, right? But here's the thing. So imagine I'm trying to run away. And imagine Louis Rossmann. Louis Rossmann is younger than me. He's like 13 years younger than me. I think he's a little bit lighter than I am. So if Louis Rossmann is trying to run away, let's be honest. If our system worked the way we think it does, Louis Rossmann would win that particular race. But here's the deal. If we both go to run away from the lion, I pick up a lead pipe. I crack Louis Rossmann's kneecap. Guess what? Even at my middling ass speed, I'm still going to be faster than Louis Rossmann with a cracked kneecap. You know what I'm saying? And so it becomes kind of interesting here with this whole AI, fraud and the AI disaster that we are going to be facing. What happens when these companies have to prove that they're superior to their competition, right? You have the investors. The investors want to put money in, but investors only want to put money into the winners. They don't want to put money into the slow ones, right? And so think about this. Meta is handing Google the lead pipe and say, "Oh, hey, yeah, I found this lead pipe back in the." Can you imagine that? You get like some intern. You get some like 23-year-old intern walks in, doing a little conversation with their partner over at Google, and they're like, "Hey, my partner over at Google, senior engineer at Google. Yeah, I was wondering. Look, I went back to my server room." And I found this lead pipe in the Meta's server room. Do you have any reason? Do you know why we would have a lead pipe in our server room? And then you see the senior administrator that's been around in this field for about 25 years, looking down at this very, very stupid, naive, ignorant intern going, "Really? Can I see that? Wow, that is a lead pipe. So you're saying you had this lead pipe in your server room? That's kind of interesting. I tell you what, I'm going to take this lead pipe back to my team, and we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss why you would have had a lead pipe in the server room. Oh, really? Yeah, I was going to throw it in the trash. I wasn't sure what to do with a lead pipe. I mean, come on, it's 2026. What do you do with lead pipes in 2026? Oh, I don't. Well, don't worry. Don't worry, dear little intern. We'll find a use for this lead pipe. And I feel like that's the world Meta's about to wander into. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Google providing AI services to Meta to such a degree that when they pull back on those services, it actually affects Meta? What do you think about Meta pouring tens of billions of dollars into AI and still needing Google's AI services to such a degree that when they don't get allocated, that it actually causes disruption inside the company? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen with these professional, to be clear, right? They're team leads now, they're managers, they're project managers, right? A decade of their professional lives has been inside this kumbaya moment. What do you think is going to happen to those poor little geeks when they find out why there used to be lead pipes in the server rooms? Put your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you like these videos, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.